Just about halfway through 2023, and I've been seeing a lot of talk recently, a lot about what a mid-year it's been. And I honestly cannot disagree. But we do have to keep in mind we are 4 years into what has been a stellar decade so far. 2020, 2021, and 2022 have all been some of the best years for hip hop in recent memory, especially peaking with 2022, with some of the biggest releases we've seen in recent time, like Melt My Eyes, See Your Future by Denzel Curry, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers by Kendrick Lamar, and The Forever Story by Jid. So with all these big artists having dropped in the last several years, there isn't a lot of people who are dropping early this year. There's not a lot of people that are expected to drop at all this year, given the fact that like 85% of popular hip hop artists have dropped within the last 2 years or so. You know, that's why we're waiting on artists like Playboi Carti, Travis Scott, and A$AP Rocky, who all haven't dropped in that time span, but we also have no confirmed dates from them at all. So it has been a little slow thus far, but there is definitely quality in the year so far if you know where to look. That being said, I do want to talk first about some of the big mainstream releases this year that have came and passed. These are a lot of the albums that I listened to that were either commercially successful or popular with hip-hop fans, that are albums that I don't feel really strongly about at this point, that aren't in my rotation at all halfway through the year, couple months since they dropped, but I do want to talk about them because there are some good albums here. But we will be starting the list of mainstream albums with Mansion Music by Trippie Redd. Man, that album was pretty fucking awful, I'm not gonna lie. It was completely bloated. It was like 20 something, I think like 25 songs. It had like just as many features. You know, you had like your Lil Babies and your Futures and your Juice WRLDs. Trippie Redd bought through as many mainstream popular rappers as he could just to give you one of the most basic, most generic, most simple, and most downright bad albums of the year so far. All the features, verses feel almost as phoned in as Trippie's. We're getting completely forgettable performances over bad production. His lyricism is reaching a new low on Mansion Music, which some people at this point may not even think that's possible, but we are getting really crappy shit from him on this record, and there's nothing I'm going back to. Let's talk about Let's Start Here by Lil Yachty, the psychedelic rock / indie album from the young rapper that broke the internet at the beginning of this year. I got a lot of people who have probably never listened to Pink Floyd before saying that this is what real rock music is. Spoiler alert, it is not. I am all for the love Yachty's getting. Let's Start Here is a great album. There's no denying that, but not all that. It is great for what it is. It is surprising how great of a psychedelic rock album Lil Yachty was able to pull together. His vocals were honestly great, but it was nothing specifically new or genre breaking for the genre he attempted. Obviously, it's getting a lot of attention because in the sphere of hip-hop, you don't hear these sounds. When you look at the album on a plane of music as a whole, this isn't the most original, new, or best-sounding album like this we've gotten, but that's not to discredit Yachty. That is just to fend off the avid defenders of this album, the people who think this is an album of the year contender, the people who think Lil Yachty has changed rap music, which I don't know how you could change rap music by dropping a psychedelic rock indie influenced album. Like, come on now, how does that change rap? Again, great album. I'll leave it at that. Briefly wanted to touch on Afterlife by Yeat. I mean, this album's crap. It's a Yeat album. I'm not a fan of Yeat. You guys will realize this if you do not already. He is one of these young rage trap rappers that I'm not at all a fan of. His sound doesn't do it for me. I don't enjoy not understanding what he's saying when he raps. It's kind of weird. And no songs I listen to from this either. Just very bad, very not good album. I feel like very bad album is harsh, but definitely one of the most uninspired releases from the year so far. Speaking of uninspired, we're speaking of Lovesick by Don Toliver. Don Toliver has been consistently dropping the ball ever since he peaked with Heaven and Hell. And I mean, Life of a Don was a good record, didn't live up to it, but now, I mean, Lovesick is really just, it's really just lazy. It's Don. There are a couple of songs that have potential that were ruined by features or bad singing from Don. Even when you look at what he did on Heroes and Villains, what he did on the Across the Spider-Verse soundtrack, I mean, his choruses are getting more and more repetitive and lazy. His singing, feels like it's getting worse the more music he drops. And again, Lovesick was really just boring, uninspired, and just unpleasant to listen to. It was honestly just disappointing thinking of what great music Don Toliver could make versus what he gave us with that. And yeah, again, another album, nothing I return to from here. No Pole is like kind of a banger, but it's because of that beat. It's because of that little man, I wish I knew what instrument that was, but you know what I'm talking about if you heard the song. The beat on that is hard as hell. Next up, we got College Park by Logic. A pretty I feel like everyone's always mixed on what's Logic's dropping. College Park is a solid album. I think it's a pretty great album. I think when it first dropped, me personally, I was overrating it a little bit. I don't revisit it that much. Vinyl Days is definitely better. The skits are corny, and a lot of it's just standard Logic doing what he does best, but not really pushing the envelope and creating music that you have to listen to. But there are a couple tracks on here that I'm taking with me. Mainly Self-Medication with a great verse from Redman, and not surprisingly, I mean, if you've seen Family Guy, you know Seth MacFarlane can sing pretty damn well, but a fucking great singing from Seth MacFarlane on the outro of that song, great rapping. You also got tracks like Shimmy with Joey Badass, which is like, it's a good song. That's like a good, little aux chord song. That's a good little banger, but yeah, I mean, again, great album from Logic, but not one of my favorites from this year, not one of the best. Now we get to Since I Have a Lover from Six Lack or Black, however you pronounce it. I typically go Six Lack, even though it's probably wrong and it sounds dumb as hell, but yeah, Since I Have a Lover, definitely a little long, a little bit bloated, a little bit more than we needed from Six Lack. I think he thrives, like we saw in East Atlanta Love Letter, with these condensed small track lists, the 10 to 13 song ratio, I think it was. And, we're getting just straight, great, amazing, peak Six Lack tracks. But Since I Have a Lover, we're still getting some of those peak tracks. There's like Used, Spirited Away, the self-titled track, Since I Have a Lover. I mean, those are all great, great songs. They're a little bit more poppy. They're a little bit more, they got more rhythm, they got more bounce, they got more flow to them. There's Who Spirited Away, definitely not. That's a lot more of like a mellow trap cut. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking for some new R&B this year, this is the R&B record I'd second most recommend. We'll get to the one I recommend first most when we get into my top 10 records of the year so far at the end of this video. Before we get into my top 10 albums of the year, though, that I do want to talk about some songs that I've really been loving this year that I want to put you guys on to. For everyone who's here talking about that 2023 has been mid so far. Where's everything? Where's all the good music in 2023? This is the section for you. I'm about to put you on to some great shit, some great albums that are out right now, and some nice songs. So yeah, let's start about one of my favorite bangers of the year, Goated by Armani Caesar. I touched on this a little bit in the weekly report where I talked about Road to Casablanca. I mean, yeah, this song's just a straight energy. You're getting a lot of energy from Armani Caesar, which Denzel Curry matches perfectly. Is one of the best feature verses of the year so far here. He is flowing relentlessly and just giving you a fun, upbeat track that you could while out to, you could have a little fun to. Just a great banger, absolutely. I have surprisingly two songs from Babytron. Babytron's a rapper I'm not the biggest fan of. I don't listen to him that much, but these are my two favorite songs from him. We got Mr. Hanky and Beetleborgs with Corday, both off of the project he dropped earlier this year, the New Testament. What was it? Bin Reaper 3 New Testament. Mr. Hanky is I think it's just the quintessential Babytron song. I think it takes together everything that makes him so unique and so good, and it's just all the best components aligning perfectly. Well, Beetleborgs gives us a little bit of a different beat. We're getting a lot more relaxed, a lot more mellow as we get some great verses from Babytron, and also Corday, who does give again what I would say is one of the better feature verses I've heard of the year so far, and got me excited for new Corday. I know From a Bird's Eye View was almost a entirely critically panned. I mean, I think that album was pretty mid. I think Corday really dropped the ball, but he's really showing again. He's showing that hunger, that ferocity. He's showing what made him so likable in 2018 when he was on the come up. So it's got me a little excited. We're gonna be talking about another young up and coming rapper who got a song with a nice Denzel Curry feature. We're of course talking about Midwest and Denzel Curry's song Tally. Midwest is kind of a rage trap rapper. He's coming up with this same sound, but I don't think he relies as heavy on the rage sound. I think he tap into really any type of production in the trap lane, and here we see some, just a pretty boastful, triumphant beat. Nothing too crazy, nothing too out there, and we get a nice catchy hook. We get a nice, again, a great Denzel Curry verse, him just ripping through it. I mean, people talk about J. Cole's feature run. Denzel Curry has been on a feature run for the last several years. I mean, name the last time he missed on a verse. We'll talk about it then. But yeah, Tally, Midwest, go check it out. All right, so we're going to another underrated trap rapper for this next song. We're talking about Hot Boy with Lil Baby and Nardo Wick. Nardo Wick with features is great. Nardo Wick in general is pretty great, but Nardo Wick doesn't miss when you link him up with some good artists, especially with Baby. This is him and Baby's, I think, third track together. And I mean, there was the one on It's Only Me, and of course you have Me or Song, which is like top tier song. But yeah, it's the same shit. You got a hard ass beat, you got Nardo flowing fast, putting in some memorable bars. Same thing with Baby. Baby's putting in his memorable bars. I'm not acrobatic, I'm not flipping on my bros type shit. I mean, that song is just for the aux, for the speakers all summer, because it's just a banger. It's exactly what you'd expect and want from the two collabing. Now we're going to be talking about the song I would award as the biggest earworm of 2023 so far. We're going to be talking about Cocaine Spoon by Belly, who is signed to the Weeknd's label XO. If any of you, that's how I'm assuming most people know him. And Rick Ross. Now, we are getting a not one of Rick Ross's best verses, but definitely a memorable one. Some funny bars, some outlandish bars. I mean, listen, just go listen to that. I'm not going to say some of that stuff on here, but just go listen to that. We're getting a, pretty classic trap beat, but there's a nice, like harmonious, a mystical synth woven into the beat that just flies out in the background of the beat, and it's fucking awesome. And it's just so catchy. It's the perfect melody. You got Belly, who's got, again, chorus with a bunch of memorable lines, very easy to get stuck in the head. I love this song. This song I'm listening to multiple times a day, every day. It's just good vibes. That song I wanted to bring in real quick is Put It On The Floor by Lotto and Cardi B. This song is just simply a banger. It's got a hard-ass fucking just Memphis style. Just, you get the little bells in the background. The bass is kicking. And you just got Lotto and Cardi B exchanging verses. They got some memorable-ass bars. Nothing too crazy, nothing too lyrically deep, but just good punchlines. You got Cardi throwing some sublims at Nicki. I mean, this is definitely one of the biggest and the hardest songs of the year. This is like great gym fuel. This is great hype music. If you haven't heard this is a go listen for me. Alright, next up we will be talking about Can't Nobody from Lil Wayne. And this is just easily one of the best songs this year. Not just one of my favorite, this is one of the best songs this year. I mean, Wayne's talking about the Carter 6 is coming. If he's in this form, it could be another one of his best albums, I should say. I mean, the way he's flowing on this, there's not a bar where he misses. As usual, we don't ever expect Lil Wayne to miss on a bar, but he's just running through his punchlines. You get the DMX vocal sample in the background that's hitting hard as fuck. I mean, Swizz Beatz was crazy with this beat. I mean, this is a good-ass beat. This is peak Wayne right now, and I think he's getting ready to go on a run. Next up, we got Unpredictable by Static Selecta featuring the Ghostface, Ray, Inspector Deck, and Method Man on a Static Selecta beat. This was on the album he just dropped, but the single's been out for a while, and I've been bumping it since it's been out. It's just Wu-Tang over a Static Selecta beat in 2023. You know, it's a smooth-ass jazz beat, just very nice, calm beat. You got all the grizzled vets pulling through with some great verses, talking about how they got to where they are, reflecting on the success and what they're going through in 2023, what their lives are like in 2023. It's just a good, nice, fun song. I mean, it's Wu-Tang Clan in 30 years later. I mean, fuck yeah, right? Like, who doesn't want that? Next up, we're talking about Introduction by Denzel Curry. He dropped that the name of the EP is escaping me, but it was a bunch of live tracks, and it wasn't the cold-blooded soul version of Melt My Eyes, obviously. This was this year. This was some, I forget what it was live from or live at, but it was a EP with some of the Melt My Eyes songs done in a new style live, and they're all great, but Introduction is a completely new song that we're getting this live form of with this great booming, bombastic beat with triumphant horns. The bass is kicking, the drums are kicking, and Denzel is rapping like his life depends on it. I mean, he is in the mic with all of his passion, with everything, just pulling it all out like he always is. And I mean, again, this is just a must listen for me this year, guys. If you haven't heard this, this is one of Denzel's best songs already. It might be his best pure rapping performance. Definitely a go listen if you're a fan. Now we're talking about Liquor Store in the Sky by BJ the Chicago Kid and Freddie Gibbs, a duo that can do no wrong. This just recently dropped. And I mean, again, it's kind of what you'd expect. It's one of those moody, spacey type beats. You're getting an incredible hook from BJ. I mean, his vocals are always on point. He's getting you into the song. He's getting you introspective. He's talking about meeting his homies at the liquor store in the sky, so you know it's a heavy song, emotional. You get a very heartfelt Freddie Gibbs verse where he's pouring it out as he normally does on a beat like this. And I mean, it is everything you could want from this collab. I mean, again, fairly new song. Don't let it fly under the radar. Go listen. We're going to be talking about Monogram by Conway the Machine off of Won't He Do It, his most recent studio album. This is my favorite song from the record. It's got one of the best beats, very elegant piano, and you're getting Conway's best rapping here. I mean, it's just Pete Conway. Like, if you like Griselda, you'll like this. Can do no wrong, really. So we're talking about Get a Ticket by Chase Fetty, who I've never heard of, and Benny the Butcher. But I mean, after hearing this, Chase Fetty is definitely someone you'll want to hear of. It's exactly what you'd expect. You see a Benny feature with an underground artist. You know you're getting rhythmic, a nice symmetrical boom bap beat for him to give a killer feature. It's Benny the Butcher. When does he not kill the features? You're getting Chase Fetty. He's doing a great job. Definitely a name to watch in the underground right now. We're talking about Flowers by Toby and Mavi. I mean, Mavi is underground excellence. He is he's like Earl Sweat, he's like peak Earl Sweatshirt in terms of his aesthetics and the way he raps, but with a lot more life blown into him. And I mean, I've been enjoying Mavi the last couple of years. Great feature on this beat. I mean, it's just him and Toby dropping knowledge. Just they each run through their verses. The beat is great, very nice, just very pleasant instrumental, nothing too crazy, good sample in the background, and Mavi and Toby are just rapping their asses off. They're getting introspective about past relationships, and they're just making some good music. And next up, we're talking about one of the best rappers on the come up right now, Furious. First, we're going to talk about Blame, his song with Tom, the singer I talked about in my most recent video. I mean, this song is just excellence, one of the best songs to come out this year. You're getting deep personal verses from Furious. You're getting Tom on the vocals. I mean, If you've never listened to Furious and you want to listen to some boom bap, some kickin' knowledge, those can switch at ease, good bars, good rhyme schemes, some of that good lyrics, personal content, if that's what you're into, Furious is the guy for you. And I would even more so recommend checking out his song Flowers, available on his mixtape Fears of Expressions, only on SoundCloud. Blame you could find on Spotify, Apple Music, all that. Fears of Expression is only on SoundCloud. Flowers is the intro to that mixtape, and holy shit, guys, this is one of my favorite songs of the year. The beat, produced by Earl, is just elegant. It's got a sample that brings you back to the childhood days woven, and it's got the nice little boom bap aesthetics, not too intense boom bap, some like Joey Badass on Righteous Minds boom bap. It's just good flows, good vibes. I mean, like, this song just gives you that warm feeling, it gives you that nostalgic, that fun feeling, and I mean, yeah, this is that music that I'm talking you should go check out. If you're talking about 2023 has been mid, go listen to Furious, go listen to Chase Fetty, go listen to Griselda, go listen to those Denzel Curry features. There's a lot out there. You just gotta, turn over some stones, look around some places you don't normally look. Last song I want to bring in before we get to some albums is Cupid version 2 by 50/50. Shout out this song. It's been carrying the last few months for me. Absolute fucking banger, just upbeat, catchy ass chorus, simple ass beat, just super easy pop song to vibe out to. Such a fun song. Oh, guys, real quick too, we'll talk about the estate sale since I haven't said anything yet, and I'm not going to other than this, but Super Great Deluxe to Call Me If You Get Lost, Sorry Not Sorry, What a Day, and Dogtooth are still in rotation for me. Wharf Talk and Stuntman too sometimes. I mean, I definitely think it's getting a little overhyped, but it's Tyler that's expected to come with him at this point. But I mean, overall, Super Great Deluxe, and I think it closes out the Call Me If You Get Lost era perfectly, especially with everything hinted at in the Sorry Not Sorry music video and all that. I think it was the perfect close to a time period in Tyler's career that I think fans are always going to want more of. I think Call Me If You Get Lost era Tyler will go on to be the most beloved Tyler. I mean, you saw the way he was running it. He is at peak popularity right now. He's never been as loved as he is right now. Alright, so anyways, let's get into a quick couple of honorable mentions. Not to albums that would have made this list, but to two albums that are in my rotation a lot that I think are worth checking out. First of all, we got Glaucoma 2 by Key Glock. Super fun trap album. It's just great production. You get the gritty Memphis type beats. And it's just some of the best, not standard, but some of the best typical trap music you could find right now. You're not getting anything too complex lyrically or too different than anything else coming out of Memphis. But it is the best of its kind. You're getting catchy bangers like Dirt, Randy Orton, Chromosomes, Pop My Shit. Just all of these songs are super catchy, super good, super fun. And then we got Surfer Drown by Hit Boy. A great produced and great rapped album by Hit Boy. I mean, to be honest, I am a little disappointed in the production. It's nothing compared to what he's done on the King's Disease trilogy. It's nothing compared to what he did on Magic, on Burden of Proof, even on Detroit 2. It barely sticks out over that in terms of production. But we're getting amazing rapping from Hit Boy. We got Slipping Into Darkness with The Alchemist. We got The Tide with Nas, which is my favorite collaboration between the two where Hit Boy's rapping so far. I mean, we're getting some of his best, most introspective, most wise bars. Same with Nas. I mean, this is one of Hit Boy's best beats, his best song. We're getting Tony Fontana 3 with Currency, which is just a straight up banger, super fun track. And then we're getting Composure Part 2, which is pretty much, I would say, it's kind of like a farewell letter to Hit Boy's career thus far. It's kind of like him summing it up. He's taken stock of everything he's done. He's proud of his accomplishments. He's looking to the future. He's loving his family. It's all that. It's just the perfect outro to the album. It's just Hit Boy reflecting. At number 10, we got Pain Provided Profit, which is a 7-track long collab album between Conway the Machine and one of his artists signed to the Drumwork label. Jay Skis. Jay Skis is a name you should get ready to hear me mention a lot. But this introduction. This was supposed to be the album to hype up Jay Skis' debut studio album, which we will talk about later. Unabolished Uncertainties. Conway and Jay dropped this album a couple months before to build up some hype, and I mean, it surpassed Conway's solo album he dropped this year. I mean, songs like Immaculate Reception are just fucking awesome, and it's literally just 7 tracks worth of Jay Skis and Conway the Machine going verse for verse for verse over some gritty underground instrumentals, over some Griselda type instrumentals. I mean, it is just a lyrical onslaught. Jay Skis proves to be able to keep up with Conway just as good as anyone else could. And I mean, yeah, super good album. Heavily recommend it. At number 9, we were talking about Jackman by Jack Harlow, one of the most divisive rappers right now. Came through with an album that people are thinking of as divisive. I mean, I think it is Jack's best album yet. It is a great comeback album. We're getting good productions now, good sampling. And although production will always, I think, be a weak point for Jack Harlow, it's better than it was on Come Home, the Kids Miss You, because damn, that album sucked. But yeah, we're getting some sort of focus. We're getting Jack reflecting on his childhood a lot, reflecting on his relationship with his father and his brother a lot, reflecting on his childhood homies and where they are now. And we see a lot of this. We see a lot of Jack struggling with his morality, with his conscience. And I think it's just very interesting to see him explore these thoughts to create discourse. And though he doesn't ever really dive too deep into any of this personally or give super strong opinions, he does generate a lot of discussion about what is ethical and what's not. At 8, we have Maps by Billy Woods and Kenny Segal. I just talked about this album, so I'm not going to say too much. Go listen if you haven't and you like that underground sound. 7, we have Never Enough by Daniel Caesar. This is the other R&B album I was talking about. Daniel Caesar is a singer who I've always been told to get into, and this is the first album I've heard by him, and I was pretty fucking impressed. His voice is excellent. He is such a good singer. He had a nice I don't know, I can't think of a better word to describe the soundscape he had on Never Enough other than Nighttime. I know that's like pretty shitty, but this is just a great night drive album. This is very emotional, very powerful, very introspective. And I mean, songs like Always, Let You Go, or Let Me Go, excuse me, and Disillusioned are some of my favorite songs this year. I haven't stopped listening to them since this album dropped. So if you're looking for that R&B fix, I would definitely recommend Never Enough by Daniel Caesar. At 6, we have Scaring the Hoes by Danny Brown and JPEG Mafia. I think a lot of you guys would have expected this to slot in higher. Personally, JPEG Mafia is a rapper that I enjoy, but I'm not personally a huge fan of him. I respect the music he makes, but I think he definitely gets a lot more credit than he deserves. He's one of those artists that, to me, people gas up just for being experimental and different, and not because the risk he takes are actually that good. And granted, a lot of them are. JPEG Mafia is a great mind in the hip-hop scene. I just don't feel like he puts together albums that are as good as people say they are. But him and Danny do a great job together here. I mean, the production is unreal. I mean, we're getting some of the best, most unique, most different, most out there productions of the year. We're getting great just bar fests from Danny Brown and JPEG Mafia as they go back and forth on songs. I mean, it's exactly what you'd expect from a collab between the two, and they fucking killed it. At 5, we got The Great Escape by Larry June and The Alchemist. This is my personal favorite album to come out this year so far. I mean, the soundscape by The Alchemist is just so luxurious. It's just so tranquil. It's so just vibrant and relaxing. And you got Larry June doing all his mogul talk. He's talking about the money he's made, how to spend it, smart investments to make, taking care of your body, just all this shit. Similar to what we see from someone like Jay-Z or even someone like Big Sean at times. Just a lot of self-care, a lot of here's my advice to you, here's how I succeed and find happiness, here's how you should. I mean, and the way Larry June raps is perfect for these instrumentals. We're getting a stacked feature list. We got Action Bronson, Slum Village, Big Sean, Wiz Khalifa, Boldy James. And I mean, we're just getting some of the most memorable songs of the year over these extremely lush instrumentals. Some of my favorites are Palisades CA with Big Sean, where Big Sean delivers the best verse of the year. Best feature verse of the year, unquestionably. I mean, if you've heard this song, you know what you're getting into. Big Sean just snaps. It's fucking great. There's 89 Earthquake. And then another one of my favorites has been What Happened to the World with Larry June and Wiz Khalifa. And it is a lot of what happened to the world. You get Larry June and Wiz Khalifa talking about what they think is wrong with the world. Some things, like a lot of talk about social media and how that's a prisoner, how people become a prisoner to that, and how to escape that, how to really live life, and how to escape the matrix in a sense. You're just getting that wisdom, that knowledge from Larry June. We're coming in at number 4. We have Ugly by Slow Tie. Here we see Slow Tie combining his emotional and powerful rapping with a lot of experimental, a lot more industrial, a lot more rock-based instrumentals, creating these more grandiose, these more powerful soundscapes and instrumentals, where we see a lot more singing from Slow Tie, and we see him stripping back the layers. We see brutal honesty, we see vulnerability, and I mean, it's the raw emotion Slow Tie put into this album that made it as good as it is. It's been a lot harder of an album to enjoy, giving everything going on surrounding Slow Tie and the allegations brought against him. Although he was just deemed guilty, it's hard to sit here and pretend like something like that doesn't deem or doesn't harm the quality and the ability to enjoy an album like this, especially where we are seeing so much self-hatred, so much honesty, so much struggle from Slow Tie. And given the uncertainty of the situation, it makes a lot of these feelings Slow Tie is displaying a lot harder to stomach. Going on to 3, we have a huge underground gem. We're about Parables of the Sowers by Jaking the Divine. I'm hoping I pronounced Sowers right, and it's not Sours, because it's spelled Sowers. But yeah, Jaking is one of the best rappers coming out of New York right now. His gritty underground sound, typically mixed with boom bap type instrumentals, is great, but here we are getting extremely luxurious, extremely almost ancient in a way productions. We're getting these very grizzled, weathered, but also fancy, also almost Renaissance like beats. This is a very artistic soundscape, very much a lot of effort and thought went into the productions. With that, we are getting Jaking rapping what he does best, talking about his life, calling out social issues in our world and giving his thoughts on them, and he does it all with his excellent pen. I mean, there are very few writers like Jaking in the game right now. His vocabulary in terms of the words he uses, especially on this album, are comparable to that of Lupe Fiasco. I mean, for someone who is 20, he is using ridiculously good ridiculously big and complicated words and working them into his rhyme schemes. Some of my favorite songs from this album are Shiny Nebu, Sun Gods, and Psilocybe Cubanus on Barley with Javi Darko. I probably butchered that song title, Psilocybe Cubanus on Barley. And I mean, Javi Darko, record label mates on the record label with Jaking, and I mean, these two have chemistry like very few rappers right now. The way they trade their verses off is great. The way they flow into one another is great. And I mean, they're also two of the best rappers with the best pen right now. I mean, if you want to hear what is legitimately some of the best rap music available to hear right now, go listen to this song. On to number 2, we have the best produced album of the year. We're talking about Glorious Game by Black Thought and El Michelle's Affairs. Literally best produced album this year. You're getting lush, tropical sounding soundscapes. The live instrumentation is great. The way the instrumentals progress and evolve and change is great. I mean, this is an atmosphere like no other. If you were trying to get put in a different mind space, this is the place to be. And Glorious Game is thought of by some to be a some type of sequel or spiritual successor to Cheat Codes, his record last year with Danger Mouse. And I could see why, because on Cheat Codes we see Black Thought exposing, addressing a lot of the issues in modern society, a lot of the hypocrisies, a lot of the corruption of power in the world. He is addressing racism and sexism and all these other huge issues. And which at times leads Cheat Codes to be a grim album, because Black Thought is talking about all these bad things that exist in our society, all these systemic injustices that occur every day, that as a society we deal with every day, and nothing ever changes. And it is obviously depressing to a degree, and the Glorious Game works as a foil to that in that sense. We're still seeing the acknowledgement of the issues. We're still seeing Thought calling out people and corporations. We're seeing him make these big statements, but here he's also talking about how he copes with it, how he lives with it, how he manages to find peace in a world that is so dark. And I mean, this is one of the great things about this. There's so much food for thought, so much wisdom, because even when Thought is bringing up all these bad points, not bad points, but like points, correct points about negative things in society, he is also able to point out and be like, well, this may be a shitty thing that's true, but there's also this that you could hold on to and accept as a truth, and it will improve your life. And I mean, it's just great for that. This is, again, a very different album. If you want to get in a different headspace, if you want to hear the second best record to come out this year, it's Glorious Game. To number one. Number one is Abolished Uncertainties by Jay Skis, who we talked about earlier. He has the lead by a good margin right now, first of all. This record is filled to the brim with super gritty, dark, and dingy boom bap instrumentals that are given such a nice coat of polish, almost like similar to like the Burden of Proof style of production. Like, we're getting this very dirty but very clean soundscape, and the dirt definitely shines through, because we're getting the come up story of Jay Skis. And the thing that is so great about Abolished Uncertainties about this story is that Jay Skis hasn't made it yet. We see that on songs like $1 Million Dreams, one of my favorite songs. It's like he says on the chorus, I haven't got me a million yet, so I got me $1 million team. Because it's $1 Million Dreams, because he's still dreaming about the million. He's not there yet rapping about it. He's still dreaming about it. And getting that perspective for a whole album is not something you get that much more in hip-hop. Especially to this degree, because Jay Ski's pen is, again, one of the best right now. His lyric, he is so good at painting pictures with his words. His imagery is vivid as fuck. He is coming through with great double entendres. He is coming through with the social consciousness, not to the degree of someone like Black Thought, who we just talked about, but he is pointing out systemic injustices in society and tackling them, but he is relating them to his come up, to his hometown, and to what he's been through. You're getting some of the best tracks of the year here, like Symmetry, like Sideline Saga, and like Bonneville. I mean, Sideline Saga and Bonneville are easily two of the top 5 tracks to come out this year. Like, I actually go listen, especially Sideline Saga. Jay Ski's storytelling on there is fucking unreal. Like, actually fucking unreal. Best album of the year so far. Some of the best display of lyricism, rapping ability, flowing ability. The best rapper on the come up right now. That can all be found here when we're talking about Jay Skis and Abolished Uncertainties. Go listen to that right now. Thanks for tuning in. I thought it would be cool. You know, we're halfway through June right now. Do a little update, especially with all these albums I haven't covered on here yet. Just give you guys an overall general, my thoughts. Here's what I'm feeling this year so far. Here's what I want to share with you. All the music I'm loving that you guys, I think, should check out. But I mean, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I appreciate you checking out, staying to the end. Fucking, you know what I'm about to say. If you're enjoying it, like, subscribe, comment, all that. I appreciate all of you guys. Let me know in the comments, what are your top 3 albums to come out this year? Favorite or best, whatever. What are you loving right now? And what do you think people are sleeping on right now? Like Abolished Uncertainties by Jay Skis. Anyways, guys, I'll catch you next time. Peace!